Okay, so next live stream we're going to configure HTTPS here with a simple site. We're going to work with a different port because right now HTTP listens on port 80, and we're going to change, and HTTP will begin to listen on port, well, today it's 18, for instance. And oops, again. So you're going to create here a site, a Virtualhost with a simple site, and then we'll see what we have in mind. This is what we have done for class, and right now we're going to create the first site. And so objective, create a Virtualhost in Apache, Centos, listening to port 15.5.18. Okay. So first, what you have to do, create Virtualhost. And what you have to do, where is the, what you have to do, let's log in. And here, let's open the document, and I'm going to paste to this document all the lines that we do on the PowerShell, on the PowerShell, on shell. So that's what we'll do. Let me take, here, this is your document. I'm going to put it here and copy this stuff here. Oops. And paste. And first of all, let's create the Virtualhost. So on our shell, I don't like the size of this. On our shell, let's go to the terminal. Let's log in as root. So switch user or substitute user. The minus there is for that when the user logs on, he runs the scripts and all the information about that router. So that user. Now let's go on to etc. httpd. And we have here the directory confd. Before we do that, let's read the information on http://pod.conf. So in here you've got httpd.conf. This is the main configuration file for the service, and here you can have all the definitions that will be applied to the server. So you've got here server. This is the root server for this daemon httpd. Then you can see that this directive. What's the problem down there? Any problem? Okay. So is listening right now on port 80, and here you are including some conf modules. Okay, and this is a way that Linux and most service right on these days are working on. So they make them include, and they say that's for all the files that ends with .conf, and when the service starts, they go to this directory and reads all the information that are in those files. The user for the service is Apache, and the group also Apache. Um, as you can check here, grep. Oops. So the user for this service is Apache. This is the user ID, the group ID, the name, and the service grep 80. As you can check, the service listing. I don't have the name. Why not? Oh, not all operators could be identified. Not on process info. Oh, we can't check this. It should appear here the name of the service, but this service that is listening, it's HTTPD. In CentOS and Red Hat, the service it's HTTPD, but the user that launched the process and works with with information regarding the process, it's Apache. So, continuing on this file, you have here the server admin, where you can send the emails in case that the service is wrong. Then you have here a directive with server name, applying the URL for the site and the port that is listening, and the directories also override and required. And here the document root, also information that will be inside this directory, var //. Also other models that are required, that the error log, they are passed to logs and error log, and the log format that could be changed. Some of these directories, the host name, the user, the timestamp, and other stuffs. And all of this information is regarding the httpd.conf. Here at the last line, you've got include option on directory conf.d. You've got all the files that ends on .conf. It means that you can create right here, where we are, you can create all the files ending on .conf, and when the service restarts, is going to read these files and will do the configurations that are inside them. For instance, right now you can make a cat at welcome. This is the file that has the information regarding the first site that we visit, and you've got the alias and the directory where document root and other stuff. So first of all, let's create here a site. So we'll make vim, and this site will be the name www.myfirstsite.local, for instance. .conf must end must end as conf. So enter. Insert. I'm going to put this a bit bigger. And right now, first line that you must have. And first, let's put some numbers here. So we're going to press escape, okay, escape, and then at the command line, so you can 2 points set number, and they will begin to appear numbers in the lines. So the first line will be the declaration of the Virtualhost. Oops, insert, and then Virtualhost. And this Virtualhost will be listening for all the IP address on port 15518, right? Then it's a good procedure if you after you open something, you close it. So if you open the Virtualhost information, Virtualhost declaration, then you close it, and inside of the Virtualhost, now you can write, so you won't forget to close what you open. So first let's create here server admin. One good thing in Vim is that when you are working inside of this Virtualhosts, after you write the words, you recognize the words and it gives a different color, default coloration, so you know if the words or the statement that you are writing is correct or not. So server admin, the server admin, it's someone, will be some webmaster in your site. What was the name? Email address. This will be the webmaster around there. Then you have document root. The document root is the folder where the site begins. So we say that will be in var //, and when I create some sites, I used to create a directory as the same name of the URL of the site. So when we are checking, we can see that what directory belongs to. So this is my first site .local. First, it's first not well written. First site .local. Then you have the server name. The server name, oops, the server name is the information, first site, my first site, is where you send the log files, and so we'll create a file with the same name of the URL of the site, saying that it's my first site .local, and then since it's for errors, error.log, error log. And you can also do for the custom log, instead of error log will be access log and will be command. So this is the Virtualhost, the Virtualhost that we need. Okay, I'm going to copy. Oh, sorry. Can you want me to put like this? Is better? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get out, escape, and then there on the bottom, double key or X, and you close it. Let's create here a variable. What's the name of the files that we are writing on? Paul. It's uppercase. Student. Paul. Okay. So this is the information. If you want to create, I'm going to write it everything. So do a Vim. First you do cd etc http d conf.d, oops, not donf, conf.d, and then you'll do this, and this is the content of the file. Okay, have you copied? Yeah? So, first you create the Virtualhost. After you created the Virtualhost, you must do some steps, and the steps doesn't mean that they have to be one after each other. It could be in any order, but you have to indicate. You have to indicate. Not. You have to mention to the system that the URL of the site is on an IP address, and since the site is inside, you can write echo. You're going to write on the host file this information. 127. We'll use the byte of the local host. So today it's 15, then it's 5, and this is our first site. And you write my first site dot local, and then you write it to etc. hosts. Be aware to use 2 signs instead of 1. Any problem there? Everything okay? Yeah. So after you do this, you'll append to the etc. Hosts, to this file, this information, as you can check. You have append this information to the site, okay? This is what you have to do. After you do this, you have to create document root, that is the directory where the site begins, or where you have the index HTML or HTM or PHP or whatsoever file. So let's create this directory. So make dir -p var and then my first site dot local. Okay. If the directory information after, let's create and let's go to HTML. So let's create here a file with HTML So we say that index.html. This is quite simple. And insert. And since I am a excellent, more than excellent person in HTML, this is everything that we are going to do. We say header 1, and we say my first site, welcome. Then we close the other one, and here on the, if you have other 3, you can say hello mommy, here I am. And we close the other 3, and then we have header 5, and we'll say I'm finished, or yeah, I'm finished. and we close the header 5. This is everything that I know about HTML, and I don't want to learn not much more, because this is more than enough. So we create a document root. I'm going to write here the comments that I've done. I'm going to copy, and here you have, and this is the content of the file. Of course, that here on this file you can and you must place all your knowledge of HTML and CSS and other stuffs. You can and should do it here, but this is enough right now, just to see how a site is done. After we've done this, it's we have to restart the server. But of course, there will be some errors, since we are missing here some parts. But the procedure will be restart the server or the service, and you're going to restart it. So we'll do systemctl restart httpd, and it restarted. Since there is no error message, it seems that it's working. So if you want to see the status of the service, you can just write status, and you see that the service is running. There are some informations, but the service is running. So it seems that everything is okay. Is it? Is it everything okay? So here you restart the service. You see the, well, as the name is explaining, the status of the service. Is it everything okay? Do you suppose so? Okay, so let's try it. So we'll open this and we write my first site dot local, and first site's not first site, and enter. Whoa. It's not okay. It's missing something. Oh, the door, right? So I put here the door. 1580. Nope, you can't connect. Why? Solutions. What could be the problem? Any suggestion? Any idea what might be the problem? So let's use our knowledge. So I'm going to see the information. So the site, the Virtualhost, is listed on each IP, on any IP, doesn't matter the IP, but we'll be listening on this port, right? Is it the service listening on this port? Let's check. Net start -intp grep. We're going to grep by HTTP and to see what port the service is listening now. Is only listening on port 80, and it should be listening on this port also. So we need to do another configuration, or we must add something else. Here, when I show you, okay, I write it, it's easier. When I show you here the less etc. httpd conf and httpd.conf, here you have a directive that says that the service is listening on port 80. So if the service will be listening on another port, you have to add it also here, right? You could add it on the Virtualhost, yes. You could have the directive there saying that we will be listening on port 15580. But when you have too much service, too much Virtualhosts, then you don't know which port of the Virtualhost is listening to. So you should use always the same site to include your listening statements. So we're going to open that file, etc. httpd conf, and then we have httpd confd, and we're going to add this directive. Copy. Let me put this on the file. 5. Add a listen directive. Oops, the directive to the httpd.conf. So you do this, and this is added line. We're going to add one line here, and so you come here and on listening, insert, see, and then enter and listen, and then 15.580. Okay. Okay, so escape, and then we write information, and we're going to restart the service. So system control restart httpd, and oops, then you've got a problem. There is the SL Linux, the security Linux. It was developed by a company of the United States, but prefer not to say the name. But you've got here the AVC. So when you click on it, you have list all the alerts or details. And what does this mean? That you have to add this port. Okay, you have to add this port to the S Linux. What is S Linux? Let me get here the file. Imagine you've got here two ways for produce some security. You've got the firewall that you have to take care, and you have also imagine to have here how shall I say a glass cover, okay, over the server that service runs, because there is a failure, a security failure regarding that change that we made. So the security Linux wasn't expect that the HTTPD began to listen on this port. So you have to inform the SL Linux that right now it must also regard, and so it's only missing the port type. Okay, and then we say port, and then we say add T HTTP port T, that will means for type, and we say that the port right now will be TCP and will be 15.580, and enter. If you want to check what ports the service is running, is listening on, so you will do smanage port, and then -L for listening, and you'll find out there are a lot of ports that the security Linux knows, but what we'll need is for HTTPD. So we'll do a grep, and for the name of the service that is HTTPD, and sorry, HTTP, and right now you find out that SEL Linux for these ports, including this one that we had, right now, if the service HTTPD starts to listening on these ports, there will be no problem. So, like this, you will know what ports are associated to HTTP. So this is for list. 5 is listening or allowing the service, or service allowing HTTP service to listening to. Okay, and the comment that we did before was this one. This is informing .1 inform SEL Linux of usage for another port to service using HTTP. Okay, so let's restart again the service after we've done this. So system ctl restart. I will give the file right away. Restart HTTPD, and right now we don't have no problem. So good. So let's check if it is working, and we'll press yeah. So right now it's working, but the service is not running on our local host. It must be run on the client. So let's come here to the client. And right now we're going to open another one first as the IP address. What was the IP address? 10.200. 10.200. And we say the port 15.580 and enter. Well, but it's not getting to the site. Why? Do you have any information? Any idea why this computer doesn't not get to the site? You have to open the port. You have to open the port in the firewall. Okay. So if you say firewall CMD list ports, you'll find out that right now the firewall is only allowing connections to port 80 and for the transmission protocol, TCP transmission protocol. So we have to add another port. So firewall CMD add port. The port will be 15.580 for TCP communication, and that will be permanent. And okay, after you have to reload. Sorry, reload. And if now you list ports, you find out that right now is listing on this port also. So the firewall is now allowing communications to that port from the outside. 5.3. We're going to open firewall port, and that's what we did. SF5, and now you are getting to the site. My first site, welcome, and that's it. We finished. So we finished for the first live stream of today, and oops, not this that I want, and where is it? Here. So we finished. So everything are going to finish the live stream, and then we go on